Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show. We show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this Wednesday to your local comic book store, or if you shop with us locally, or with us at infinityflux.net. We give you valuable information to make... I don't know what that
Wanted
was.
to try my Vanna hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's weird when it's up here and not over here. We provide valuable information, so when you go into your comic book store, you have a better idea of what you should be looking for, what might fit you the best, and just a little bit extra knowledge on some of these awesome books that are coming out. So, without further ado, I do want to remind you, these books are already up for sale on infinityflux.net, so you can go ahead and head on over there and order the books. That way you don't have to worry about missing out on them. But without further ado, I give you Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man, number 16, ladies and gentlemen. A phenomenal book. It's going to be hard to talk about because there is so much potential for spoilers.
Basically, the whole makeup of the book is kind of a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know, it's... If you talk about any part of it, it would kind of give away another part of it.
Right. So, I'm not going to tell you too much about it. I will say that please try to avoid spoilers before you read it. Please mute Bleeding Cool on Twitter before you've read this so that they don't spoil it for you, because they always do that. I'll tell you a couple of different parts of this book. Talking points. We do learn more about Mysterio. We know that we haven't seen much of Mysterio up until the two-part Craven storyline from a couple issues ago.
In the background of some parts beforehand, we knew he was part of the
New Sinister Six.
The New Sinister Six,
So we learn a little bit more about him and his backstory and what his motivations are and things like that. So we get a little bit more background on Mysterio. We also learn a little bit more about Gwen Stacy, who we met way back in issue number 4. And I think we all agree that ever since we met her way back when, there's been something else, something shady or something mysterious about her that maybe we just can't really... We just knew there was more to her than what we had been, what we had known so far. So we get a little bit more information about her as well. And this issue does a little bit more to flesh out the overall Ultimate Universe itself, plants a few seeds to some bigger things to come. We know we are getting closer and closer to the Maker coming out of his big dome, and there's Ben and Jonah trying to figure out what is the real world, what's the big secret of this world, that kind of stuff. So we get a few more seeds planted about some of that overall world building stuff. But that's all I really feel comfortable telling you, because, like I said, anything else other than that is just too spoilery, because this whole book is just one big spoiler. It's not like there's one thing that happens at the end. No, this whole book is just one big giant spoiler, and it's awesome, though. It's so good. This is my pick of the week, because it's just so... I will say, there's no Spider-Man in this.
Yeah, no, not
like there has been in the last 3 issues anyway. There's no Spider-Man.
You can say that some of this will make you, like you said earlier, want to kind of reread the first up until this point, and maybe you'll see some stuff with different eyes and all of that, which makes it really, really cool, as we're still, there's still surprises in store for this book. And there is it's not a spoiler to say there is a character that you see that's not technically in the book, but it's a picture of them. That's another character that we hadn't seen in the Ultimate Universe yet. That I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to see more about that character in this, and what different kind of path they went down. That I just thought was cool.
Yeah. So
they're just an author of a book,
right?
But I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. So just another awesome issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. Just big things happen every single issue. Every issue is just an oh my gosh, and that makes it for a great book. So I loved it. Don't miss it if you've been reading it. So this is our A cover right here. There are some variants for this, but I guess we've sold out of them already, or maybe they've been allocated to our pull boxes, because I double checked. We only have the A cover available, and also this 1 in 25 I think is that CF Villa that we're selling for $18.99 with Spider-Man and Jonah and Mysterio down at the bottom there. But yeah, this is all we have left because everything else is sold already.
Yeah. And even if you kind of have an idea about what's going on, like if you are like, you know what, I can pretty much guess what's going on in this issue.
You're still
Let's say
wrong.
it's
Yeah.
bigger than you even thought.
Yeah.
Like there's more layers than just one mystery in
Yeah.
this. But next up, I'm going to talk about another big book. This is World's Finest Annual, or the 2025 Annual, which is also part 3 of We Are Yesterday. And I want to put this at the top because I thought this was an awesome issue. And, this is not like sometimes annuals will be a supplemental
Yeah.
material to the storyline going on. This one is a part 3, and I think a very important part of the story. So the script in this is by Christopher Cantwell, but it's plotted by Christopher Cantwell and Mark Waid. So it still feels very much in line with everything. There is also a backup story in this that I'll get to later by Morgan Hampton and art by Clayton Henry. But we learned in the previous issues of the We Are Yesterday that Gorilla Grodd actually got so powerful with his psychic abilities that he was able to kind of transfer his mind back in time to talk to his younger self who was imprisoned and kind of give him the lowdown on what the future is like and what he should do to kind of prepare for that. That's how we know he put together the Legion of Doom, and this explores how did he do that, because if I didn't even consider it before, but it's like, oh, Gorilla Grodd's got the Legion, kind of like the Silver Age Legion of Doom together. But if you consider who are the members of that, why would Lex Luthor join with him? Like, Lex wants to be the leader of everything. Why would Sinestro? Why would Joker? Why would Scarecrow? Why would all these characters agree to follow Grodd's plan? How do they even believe what he says? That's what's explored in this, is him pulling them together, and basically all he has to go through to convince them of what he's saying is true, and to kind of reveal to them, uh, to Grodd, they're all failures in the future. And you see a little bit of that, of like, you're in jail, you're dead, you're what, it's like all this stuff that I thought was really interesting. Plus, Grodd does have kind of a ace up his sleeve that we haven't known too much about yet, but it's the thing that he doesn't even let the rest of the Legion know is part of his plan. But before, we get to the point where the Legion of Doom is in our modern day, they have to figure out a way of moving them all to the modern day. And that's going to be a lot of time travel tech that they're going to have to get. So all of that is super, super cool. It was really fun. It's great to have a book that's really centered around the villains,
Yeah.
and how they do and don't work together very well. But also, I want to say something big happens. I don't want to give away too much of it, but something big happens that uh, I didn't know about beforehand. I don't think any like cover or anything revealed, and it's something that I think, if it could be something that is cleaned up by the end of the story arc, or if it remains, could be a huge game changing point in uh, the DC universe. So you haven't read this
No,
yet,
I haven't read
and
it.
I can't wait for you to be like, oh wait, that's where this ends.
Yeah, it's
It's
driving me
something.
crazy to know now. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's something that, like, even the last panel is like, yeah, I want to see what the next panel would be from this. So all that being said, this is great. I do think people are going to be talking about what happens at the end of this, because it's a great, like, you think you know a lot of this story, but this just throws in an extra little element that's like, this could just be a fun side thing, or this could be a pretty serious thing. Um, like I also mentioned, there is a backup story that is the basically secret origin of John Stewart Green Lantern, as kind of retold through the lens of the world's finest way they tell stories. So it kind of feels like it's in that classic period. You do see Hal Jordan, you see John Stewart growing up, and why he becomes worthy of the ring. And I just thought it was really cool. It's a short little one and done thing, but I would love to see more of these of like a world's finest origin story
Yeah.
for some of these long-standing characters, but kind of give them a hey, let's look back at their origin again with some new art and that kind of stuff. So really great issue of World's Finest. Don't miss out on this one because it is vital to the especially so the next issue it's is going to be actually World's Finest. So it usually is going back and forth between Justice League and World's Finest, but I guess because this is an annual,
right.
the next one I think is like World's Finest 23 or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Aren't they in their 30s by now?
Okay, maybe it's something. But it's to be continued in World's Finest, and when you get that one, you'll definitely want to have read this one. So that's very important. So that is World's Finest annual for this year, and we got some variants for that. At least one. This is the Clayton Henry. So that is your artist on the John Stewart backup story. And I love that classic like John Stewart costume and everything, and this is really cool.
All right, well, I've got a fun one. This is Godzilla versus Spider-Man. This is the third in our Godzilla versus insert hero here. They're all one and done stories that take place in different eras. This one's written by Joe Kelly. The art is by Nick Bradshaw. And this story takes place right after Spider-Man comes back to Earth after the original Secret Wars from back in 1984 or 85 or 84, I believe. And he is still wearing the symbiote suit, although at this point in time, he does not know that it's an alien. He just thinks it's like some cool, like alien fabric, but he doesn't know it's an actual living being. And it starts off simply enough. Spider-Man's fighting the Shocker, as Spider-Man does sometimes.
Shocker.
Yeah, but then the Godzilla just out of nowhere pops up and starts trampling through New York, starts smashing down buildings, destroying everything in his path. Spider-Man does try to get Godzilla's attention to lead him away from the city. And, you know, Godzilla lets out his big roar, I'm not going to try to do it, but you know what I'm talking about. The big, loud roar that Godzilla does. No, sorry. I'll insert I'll insert an audio clip later. And, you know, if you know anything about the symbiote, you know that it reacts very negatively to sonics and sonic attacks and things like that. So what does that big roar do to the symbiote? And then what happens after that? I'm not going to tell you, but I will say that there are 2 or 3 very awesome, like, double-page spreads. You turn the page, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is big action. There's a lot of destruction. There's some crazy things that I've never seen before. And that's it. I mean, you know, there's nothing big or complicated about this. It's just Godzilla destroying downtown, or destroying New York, and Spider-Man's trying to stop him, and you know, what's Spider-Man going to do against Godzilla, right? But he tries.
He tries, and that's all we can.
That's all that matters, right? And it's just, you know, I made a note that it's big, dumb fun in the best way possible. It's just a fun comic book, you know, nothing too complicated or anything like that. Yeah, so if you enjoyed the other Godzilla versus books, definitely pick this one up. There's a couple more coming. There's Avengers, there's X-Men, there's Thor. I think those are the other 3 that we haven't had yet. So yeah, just another, and we're also going to get the Godzilla versus, or Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a mini series, right? So yeah, it's awesome. I really like this. Nick Bradshaw on art. The artwork's really good.
Yeah.
Lots of big action, colorful, very exciting. Definitely recommend if you like Godzilla or Spider-Man or just fun books. So this is our A cover right here, and we got some cool variants. We have another Nick Bradshaw variant. We have another Nick Bradshaw variant.
Prolific.
Yep, we have this Jerry Ordway cover right here that looks like the 70s Godzilla when he was with Marvel. This is the Lee Garbett variant, the Versus covers. I think they've done one of these for all of them. This is the Campana variant. We have this beautiful foil Patrick Gleason cover. I really hope this is the one that I ordered. I don't remember if it is or not. I don't have the ratio on this. I think this is either a 1 in 10 or not. This must be a 1 in 25 Greg Land variant that we're selling for $24.99. And then we have the 1 in 100 Virgin Chris Campana variant that we're selling for $89.99.
Very cool. I did not get a chance to read that one, but I'm excited
to really fun,
read it. So next up, I have a new book from Image called Lost Fantasy. This is by Kurt Pyers, and the art is by Luca Casanugueda. Yeah.
Good job.
Casa no Guerra. So this one's a little. There's kind of a lot of stages to this one. So it begins in 1906, where we're being kind of told about the history of this world, which is a version of our world, but where something different happens. So in 1906, the San Francisco earthquake and ensuing fires resulted in the demolition of the majority of the city, which is all true stuff. But what they didn't tell you was this was caused by fire trolls. Because I guess the earthquake did something and it opened up a portal or something to a place called the world beneath. And it still doesn't really explain, is it literally beneath or is it another kind of realm, a different universe?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was like a different dimension almost.
Yeah, yeah. So it's something a little bit like that. Uh, so the trolls were put down by four people later called the Great Hunters, and they all were very like they're very unique characters that did this. But this kind of created like this started this our world and their world kind of relationship, this tenuous thing of like, they're dangerous and we got to find ways of like keeping them at bay. That led to the forming of schools, all very like Hogwarts and stuff.
Yeah,
Where it's
that's what
like
I
there's
thought
the
too.
four hunters. They each have their own school in a different location. I guess like other people go to that to become hunters. And it's really interesting because it talks about like during like the Roosevelt administration, what he was the first one to visit this other underneath place, and the Treaty of Versailles had an addendum in it that was about dealing with all this. So there's kind of a parallel between our history and this version of this world. But that's all to lead us to our main character in the current day named Henry. Is it Henry Blackheart?
Yeah.
Henry Blackheart, who is he's a very kind of angsty character. He's got the black fingernails, white hair, leather jacket. Like he's very like almost like 90s Sandman type stuff. But he's a hunter and he's on a mission that we get a little bit of, and we don't know the full scale of this because we don't really know where the story's gonna go or like how it's gonna expand. But there's a little girl that like basically came running out of the woods with blood all over her, and he is going to investigate what happened because it could be tied to all these magical creatures and everything, and some of the crazy stuff that ensues there, like this big golem showing up and everything. So it's definitely a setup issue, like in every sense of the way. It's got to tell you about kind of the founding of this world and the rules of it and everything. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I definitely need to read the second one to see like what is this actually going to be about, because we only get a little bit of that towards the end.
Yeah, and there's some mysteries in there because after the little girl, she's being chased through the woods, gets hit by a car, has to be taken to the hospital, and then Henry gets a call from I guess his superior because he works for the FBI, and all the person says is it happened again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened again? What is it, right? And Henry's like, I'll be right there. So what is this thing that they're talking about? What was chasing her through the woods? Like, why is this one situation? Why do they know it's related to this fantasy world? I don't know yet, but we'll find out.
It's got a pretty surprising final page too. It's like, oh yeah, what's definitely gonna happen next? Because yeah, it's pretty surprising. So what's also in this is Kurt Pyers wrote a book called Indigo Children that came out a few years ago, and that story from that book is going to be continued in the back pages of this. So it's not related to Lost Fantasy, but if you were a fan of that series before, it continues in this because this is like a double or triple sized issue. It's pretty big.
Yeah, and it's still I think it's still only what's the price on well, I don't know. There is no price. Oh, $4.99.
Yeah.
$4.99, but it is oversized for sure. So you're definitely getting your money's worth out of this.
Yeah, I think the beginning too is I wouldn't say wordy, but has the majority of the reading, and then there's a lot of action towards the end. That's pretty fast paced. So it's a big book, but I'm glad they made it oversized because it gave it room to breathe.
Like this on the cover actually does happen.
Yeah.
So you do see this.
And it's really cool.
And it's very cool. Yeah. So you do see that in the book. It's really neat.
So, yep, I'm looking forward to the next one to really get into this world. That is your A cover. And we've got this awesome homage cover.
Oh yeah.
This is by uh, Dio Dioto. Got this nice Final Fantasy VII homage cover with the PlayStation
Yeah.
and everything.
Okay, I've got a new book from Mad Cave called The Slasher's Apprentice. This is written by Justin Richards. The art is by Val Halverson. And it's kind of hard to talk about this book without spoiling everything. This is a quick read. There's actually not a whole lot of dialogue, but it does kind of it's a bit of a setup issue for the main story to come. That's going to start in the next one, I guess. But it's about a girl named Riley. She's here on the cover, and she is a horror obsessed podcaster. And she's very fixated on all these different slashers who actually, from what I understand, do exist in the real world. It's not like she runs a podcast, because the podcast is about all these different slashers, but it's not talking about slashers from different movies. It's like slashers from the real world, and she talks about their history, when they first premiered, if they were ever caught, the types of killings they did, and that kind of thing. And her favorite slasher is one called the Hopton Valley Killer, who has been active since 1974 and has never been caught, despite always leaving a big, giant, bloody mess behind every one of his murders. You know, just he doesn't care about cleaning up and hiding the evidence. He just kills people and walks away. But despite all that, he's still never ever been caught. And we do see that may have something, or at least for the last couple of years, anyways, that may have something to do with Riley herself, because again, she is actually a big fan of this killer. So yeah, I just don't really want to tell you much
kind
more.
of twisted that she's like obsessed with a real life killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the end of it. It's
Okay.
really kind of messed up. Yeah, so yeah, it's really good though. I love these kinds of books, like these big slasher books. We have a few of them out right now, or there have been a few out over the last couple of years. And this is another one. So it's really cool. I can't wait to read the next issue. And this is the only cover that we have.
Okay, cool. Next up is I really like this book. This is Red Hulk number 3. Uh Despite there not being a ton of Red Hulk in this series so far, I'm still really enjoying this.
It's still really entertaining and fun and edge of your seat.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's even though Red Hulk hasn't been in it much, it's not lacking action, which I think is makes up for it. So we know in the last issue, Thunderbolt Ross, who has basically used the last bit of his gamma energy in his escape. Him, Machine Man, and Deathlock, along with Stryker.
Yeah. I don't remember which Stryker.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, there's a lot of like William Stryker. It's not the Stryker
right
from like Wolverine and stuff. But they are all trying to get out, which is funny because was it Machine Man is kind of like run out of juice and he's just getting dragged along behind by
literally Deathlock is just pulling his arm. He's on the end of his extendo arm and he's just dragging him around.
So that's
you
really
can use him as a weapon at one point. Yeah, that's funny.
So at the end of the last one, they finally made it out, and Thunderbolt Ross was like, "Good, I'm out in this. Like, I'm gonna be out in the sun. I can get some solar radiation to Hulk out." And what do you know? They came out. It was nighttime, and there is a swarm of Doombots who have formed a giant Doctor Doom. I don't know. It's like a cartoon where like bees make up a big bee type thing. And so a lot of this is action. But what's a cool part is some of this takes place. It's narrated, of course, by Thunderbolt Ross, and he kind of talks about how he survived under Doom's, clutches while he was in this prison. And we learned kind of why. I don't know if it's ever been explored about how good of a strategist that Thunderbolt Ross is. And we kind of get the idea of like why Doom got him to be one of his think tank people, because Ross runs these scenarios in his head because he's basically like, I've been everywhere during my military time, and my time as Hulk. I've been all over the world. I've been to the desert, which is funny because that does reference the Hulk in Arabia story.
Yeah.
The Red Hulk story and stuff. He's talking about all these places he's been. He's like, just like your way driving to church, I know how to get out of the rainforest and stuff like that. Like, and he runs these scenarios in his head of him as Red Hulk up against all these different enemies and stuff. So that part's really cool. But uh, we do know that like once he's out though, he's pretty vulnerable. But he does know because he kind of has mapped out Latveria. He knows that there's somewhere he can go to get a lot of gamma radiation, but it's going to be can he get there and survive? So yeah, there's the only the Red Hulk you get is like in his mind going over these scenarios, but that's kind of fine because you do get Red Hulk in those parts, and then you get this really cool kind of escape story and survival on the run. They've basically been pursued since issue 1 in
Yeah,
this.
I mean it's nonstop. Like they're being chased by these Doombots throughout the whole issue,
Yeah.
and they were chased by them last issue too. So it's like this series, even though there's not a lot of Red Hulk, it is constantly moving forward nonstop. It's not like okay, we're gonna hide in this cave for the next 4 issues. No, it's they are constantly moving, constantly on the run, jumping off cliffs, into rivers, down snowy banks, and that kind of stuff. They're constantly moving. It's very action packed.
And if I get the idea of what they're kind of teasing, the reason why we haven't seen a lot of Red Hulk yet is it looks like there's going to be a throwdown between Red Hulk and someone else that wants to take matters into their own hands. That this is leading to, that I think could be an explosive and awesome showdown. So, yeah, still a great book, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad we have a good Red Hulk book right now. I hope this goes on for a long time.
Because this is, we've talked about it before, this is ongoing,
This is
right?
ongoing, even though it's pretty heavily tied in with One World Under Doom.
Now.
Yeah, and it's not like this is vital for you to read One World Under Doom. This just definitely exists in a world ruled by Doom where he's pretty close to the action of everything going on because he's in Latveria. Yeah, this is really great. So even though that cover does not happen, it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, props to One World Under Doom, the event, for having a cool main story and a lot of really good tie-ins too. Like the tie-ins for this one have been pretty darn good.
Yeah. So there is your A cover. We also have a John Jiang cover, and we have a Harvey variant where Doom is force choking Red Hulk.
And there are 3 other One World Under Doom tie-ins that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But for right now, hold on, let me write down this note.
Do it.
For right now, we're going to talk about You'll Do Bad Things #2. The first one was really cool. And the first few pages of this issue depict another brutal murder, which is the 4th one in the last several days. And Detectives Bentley and Maslow are trying to find a connection between this murder and the other 3 murders that they've been investigating, but they don't seem to be able to find one. They all seem to be random. So while they're looking into all this, Seth, who is kind of our main character that we met last issue, he's the writer. He is at a book signing and Q&A for his book called He Came In With a Smile, which is the book that he wrote 10 years ago about the infamous nursery rhyme murders. And he's been living off that ever since, basically. And, his last issue, we saw that his editor is on him to write another book. He does not want to do another true crime book. He wants to write a romance novel. And the gist of this book is every time he tries to write this romance novel, he ends up writing the characters getting killed. Like he can't seem to get his mind off that. He doesn't publish these works at all. It's just, I accidentally wrote a character getting killed again. I need to start over. So while he's at this book signing, one of the parents of the victims of those nursery rhyme murders confronts him for being a fraud. And to the point where he has to go, he wants to get away from all the yelling and stuff, and he goes back out in the back alley, and he sees someone there, and I'm not going to tell you who or what it is that he sees, but that's going to lead him to another character that's going to figure in later into the story in later issues. So yeah, this is another really cool issue. I'm not really sure what to make of this story yet, because on the surface it seems like a typical slasher story. But there also seem to be some supernatural elements to this because all these murders that are happening, they are happening exactly the way that he ends up writing them. But he doesn't ever publish these works. These don't get published in a book anywhere. So how do these murders keep happening the way that he's writing them? I don't really know. My guess right now is I wonder if it's like a Fight Club type thing where maybe he's the murderer, like he's blanking out
Mm.
and going to murder people the way that he ends up writing it, and then he comes back to his apartment, kind of snaps back into reality. I don't know if that's true or not. There's no clue. There's no hint of that in here. That's just the only way I can think about it right now. But I love the mystery that they're setting up here of this writer who's got this. It's not really writer's block, but it's writer's block in the fact that he can't. Not it's not that he can't write something. It's just that everything he does write turns very bloody, and then that stuff seems to be coming true. So yeah, the second issue out this week, and it's really good. So there's our A cover right here, and we have this Turtleichi cover. That's your interior artist right
Ooh,
there.
that's creepy.
Yeah, and also just real quick, this is going to be a little bit weird. I just want to let you know that another book called "We're Taking Everyone Down with Us" #2 comes out this week. I did not get a chance to read this because it didn't come in till today. But I just wanted to mention this one too because this came out. The first issue of this one came out at the same time as "You'll Do Bad Things" #1. So they don't have anything to do with each other whatsoever. But I kind of think of them as a pair because they both came out at the same time. They're both telling these really cool stories. So just wanted to let you know that this is out this week too. But I don't know what it's about. I didn't get a chance to read it. That's the A cover there. And then we have this Christian Ward variant for that also.
Well, next up, we've got a new Star Wars Hyperspace Stories book, a title that's very close to me. I worked on the series before, but it's kind of returning as a mini series where the previous one was kind of one-shot stories. This is going to be a mini series all about Poe Dameron. This is Star Wars Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker #1. This is by Ethan Sachs and the artist by Mark Yarza. And in this, Poe gets tasked with a secret mission by Leia. There has been a code breaker out there breaking the resistance codes and basically like knowing where their next move is going to be and attacking them there. And so she sends Poe out to find and stop this code breaker, but warns like you have to do this very stealthily because the planet this code breaker is on is being patrolled by this ace TIE fighter pilot. You can see that's kind of what's on the cover where they've got like when you see them, their helmet has like all the scratches on it for like all the kills they have, and so he needs to get past them. So that's part of the story, but the other part of the story is we do see the code breaker in here, and once we see them, then we have to figure out what Poe's going to do about that because there's a twist to it that's throws a little kink in his plan. So very cool issue, and looking forward to seeing where this goes. Also lettered by my good friend Tyler Smith of Comic Craft, so shout out to him on that as well. But yeah, looking for a new Star Wars miniseries. Check out Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker #1. This is your A cover. We've also got a very awesome Sean Gordon Murphy variant.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love the black X-wings.
Yeah, that's his specialty X-wing, but something happens and he can't use that one in here.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a cool twist. And we also have this Par variant as well.
All right, next up, I've got Wolverine and Kitty Pryde #1. This is a new miniseries written by Chris Claremont, and the art is by Damian Cuchero. And this actually takes place between the end of the last issue of the original Wolverine and Kitty Pryde miniseries from back in 1984 and Uncanny X-Men #192. So this fits in in that little gap way back in the 80s. And this issue deals mostly with Wolverine and Mariko training Kitty Pryde to use the ninja skills that the guy named Organ forced her to learn in the original miniseries. That's what that one was all about. And she doesn't want to do it, but Wolverine says that she can't unlearn the skills that she learned. So it's actually better to lean into it and help her hone those martial arts, those ninja skills. And most of the issue is just her coming to terms with that, living in Japan with Wolverine and Mariko, and her father is there too. She's very reluctant to do this at first, but she kind of goes along with it. She's trying to fit in at school, that kind of thing. But there is something strange that happens at the very end of the issue, which I think will be the real story of this miniseries. This is really more of a setup issue, just kind of getting your mind back into that time from back in the '80s. And then at the end of the issue, that's when the big stuff happens, and that's what the rest of the series is going to be about. She still has her short haircut that she had back in the '80s, that kind of thing. But yeah, still really cool. So if you're a fan of that era of Wolverine and Kitty Pryde and the X-Men, definitely check this one out. So we have our A cover right here, and we have this 80 Granov variant. We have this Marvel versus Capcom variant. We have the Todd Knock variant with a very colorful costume there. This is the Yagawa variant. And we have this 1 in 25. I don't have the. Is that Marcus Toe? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure who the artist on this one is, but we're selling this one for $19.99.
Well, next up, I've got Void Rivals number 18, and this is a big issue because this is, for one, the end of this story arc. So it wraps up a little bit, but definitely sets up some future stuff. It is also the final issue that Jay Felici is going to be doing art on the series. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but Connor Hughes will be coming on board as artist after this. But getting into the story, Salila, and if you've been following it, you know she's in a very interesting place, talking to a very interesting, almost pseudo godlike character for the Energon universe. Salila gets a major upgrade and a new mission that is gonna lead to very big things in this series and the Energon universe. But on the other hand, we have Derek and his father, who now basically know the secret of the ring that they're on, and they both know the importance of keeping their two peoples from recombining and opening that ring and letting a terrible thing out. But maybe that goes against what Salila has to do now. So, very cool issue. Some big stuff is set up. And what's big about this is you read this issue and then read the Energon Universe Free Comic Book Day issue, and you will know where this is leading. And it's something very, very big. So, that is issue number 18. Very cool issue. We also have a couple of variants. So we have this Rubini variant. We have this is the 1 in 10 Connor Hughes variant, or something for $6.99. That will be your new interior artist on the series. So it's going to look very good. And that is it for that one.
All right, well, I've got the Detective Comics annual for this year, and this is written by Al Ewing, and the art is by Stefano Raphael, John McCrae, and Fico Osio. And in this one, Batman investigates the murder of a billionaire who was found dead alone inside his impenetrable bunker with the message, "Batman, do not solve my murder," written in blood on the floor right in front of him. He was stabbed in the back. This message was on the ground, but nobody else allegedly was able to get down there. So who killed him? And that's the big mystery that Batman is trying to solve. His investigation takes him to England, and it actually gets pretty deep with a couple of different villains, but not your typical like Batman rogues or anything like that. But this is actually a really cool story because it very much highlights Batman's detective skills. He's examining the bunker and the mansion. When he gets to England, he's examining all these written works by all these scholars because this billionaire was kind of wrapped up in all that. Like, it's very detective heavy, but there's some good action in this as well. So yeah, just a really cool. Doesn't really tie into any other detective. It's not like the World's Finest Annual. This is its own story, complete one and done. It's a really cool, almost like a crime noir Batman detective story. Really cool. So that's our A cover right there. And I'm sorry, that's actually the variant cover. I have this backwards. This is the A cover. My bad. That's your A cover right there. This is the variant by John McCrae. So that's one of your interior artists right there. Yeah, that's the variant. Oops. Sorry for the switcheroo there.
Oof. Bait and switch.
Yep.
Well, next up, I've got Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker adaptation number 3. And I always like to talk about this book because of the differences between the comic and the movie, and kind of the more information you get from the comic. So this is the issue where you get the big reveal of Rey's backstory, and who her parents actually are, and more importantly, who her grandfather somewhat is. But that is explored a little bit more in depth. There's a little bit more dialogue about it, and the way this series has been doing, like flashes to other scenes and everything, really does a good job at fleshing out that story and seeing some of those characters and everything a bit more. Plus, in this, we get more of Rose and Leia as they discover how long Palpatine's plan has been in motion of this final order that he was working on, which I think is a cool addition of like seeing them discover basically like all these times in the last 30 years that pieces from like manufacturing things have disappeared, and they can all be linked back to secretly building a fleet on Exegol, which I thought was really cool. Plus, this has where they land on the neighboring planet to Endor, where pieces of the second Death Star are there, and they run into Janna, who is the new character for this movie in this book. Um, and we learn about her former time as a stormtrooper, and it kind of has that parallel with Finn about rebelling as a stormtrooper. But in this, we actually see her as a stormtrooper. It actually goes and shows us like her in the suit and all of that, which I thought was a really cool addition. Plus, there's like scenes in this where when Rey goes in looking for the Sith Wayfinder in the original, Palpatine's throne room, we actually see kind of a ghost image of the fight from Return of the Jedi between Vader and Luke, with Palpatine sitting on the throne. Just a lot of really cool stuff that the movie, you couldn't necessarily do these really quick shots to like show former scenes from other movies and stuff, but in this it works really well. So I still really recommend this. Whether you like the movie or don't like or whatever, this really does a cool job at expanding on a lot of that and giving you more answers. So that is your A cover. We also have this very cool Rosanus variant. And we also have the movie variant.
All right, I've got the Power Company Recharge #1. This is another one shot with these characters, and this is about Jace Fox Batman and the Signal and Vixen, who investigate another murder investigation. They investigate the murder of a family whose son was a metahuman, and it all has ties to the group called the Sons of Liberty, who are taking Amanda Waller's anti-metahuman sentiment to the extreme. Her big thing during Absolute Power was metahumans are bad. We got to take them all down. And even though like all that's done, she's in jail, or I guess she's not because of the Secret Six series. But there is still a large group of people who are carrying on that sentiment and inflaming it basically, and they are responsible for the murder of this family because of their metahuman son. And I won't tell you anything more than that. They do sort of figure out the investigation, but this is a one shot, like I said. But it could lead to more stories with this group. This actually does kind of doesn't really form the Power Company, because there was another Power Company one shot that had already kind of established these heroes coming together. But this one was their goal was to get Jace Fox Batman on board. And he had some really cool moments in this too. Like he's actually kind of unlikable. He's a jerk to everybody, but I like the way we actually see some of his kind of detective skills on display too. But they're a little different than Bruce Wayne's Batman. He tries to get more inside the mind of the this person. Why would this person do that? And if this guy came down the stairs, and then maybe this person was hiding over here. Like the detective work in this was on par, but just a little bit different than the Detective Comics book. So that was cool, like two different detective stories together like that. So there's our A cover right here. We got several variants for this one, or just a couple, I guess. This is a Ryan Benjamin variant with Josiah Power, and we have this Sanford Green
Yeah.
variant right there.
Well, next up, I've got our next installment of the G.I. Joe Real American Heroes Silent Missions issue. Is this the last one?
No, there's Beachhead still. There was 5 total.
Beachhead was the first one.
Was it?
Yeah. We got Spirit.
Oh, that was Beachhead. Yeah, we got Beachhead, Jinx, Spirit, Duke, and Roadblock. Maybe this is the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So this one is written and drawn by Wes Craig. You may know from the DC All In special. This one's cool. This one, of course, is following Duke on a mission to a Cobra Island. It's either, I guess, run by Cobra or they just have a big facility there. And he's looking for someone, and I won't say like who it is or what that, because that's kind of a cool part about this. But of course, there's a lot of Cobra resistance as he's going through the jungle. This is one of the silent mission issues, so there's no dialogue. There is some words. You see some scrap pieces of paper that you could read that like help build it a little bit.
Yeah.
But he does run into some really cool kind of specialty Cobra people, like a guy who has like really sharp teeth, and they fight and fall off a waterfall and that kind of thing. I thought this was really fun. It's got kind of a little bit of a twist ending. But yeah, I like this idea of the silent missions issues, and I wouldn't mind more of them. So, not a whole lot to say about it without reading it
or
or
looking at it
or watching it. So here is your A cover. We have a Fornes B cover. Has been doing the variants on all these, and we have a 1 in 10 kind of black and white version of the Wes Craig A cover. We're selling for $6.99.
Do we not have any more of the foil that makes the letter?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow, because that was, can't believe I didn't realize that until the previous issue. Yeah. Okay. So I've got here Godzilla versus Los Angeles. We've had Godzilla versus Chicago. Do we have another one, or was that the only other one we've had?
I think that's the only other one.
There's a Godzilla versus Boston coming.
Yeah, it's only been the Chicago one so far.
Okay, so this one, just like the other one, has 4 different stories in it, and all the creators live in the city or are from the city that Godzilla is trampling. So this one is Los Angeles. The first one is my favorite one. It's called Eye in the Sky. It's written and drawn by Gabriel Hardman. And this actually gives me something I've never quite seen before. There are these 2 traffic reporters in a helicopter reporting on the traffic when Godzilla starts stomping through the city. And the military orders them out of the sky. Get out of our airspace. You know, Godzilla is dangerous, right? But instead of leaving like they're told to do, they think that maybe this is their big break with reporting because they're kind of scared for their jobs because the news organization they works for has drones now that can fly and do the reporting for them. They don't, they're like, oh, we're going to be obsolete thanks to these drones. But now is our chance to make a name for ourselves. So they actually fly back right into the heart of all the chaos. And Godzilla or I think it was Godzilla, like their helicopter gets destroyed somehow. And they have to navigate over the top of Godzilla and low enough to jump onto his back.
Oh gosh.
And they report the rest of the story from his back as he's trampling through the city, which is really cool. They have like almost like a first person perspective of all the chaos. I've never seen that in a Godzilla story before, of somebody being on his back. So that was really cool. And there's 3 other stories as well, but that's the big main one. So it was really cool. If you're a Godzilla fan, check that out, because again, I've never seen anything like that before. This is our A cover right here, and we have this Gonzo variant. And we have this, I don't know the ratio on this, maybe a 1 in 25. And this is the black and white virgin version of the A cover that we're selling for $22.
Well, the last book for me is The Question All Along the Watchtower, number 6 of 6. It's the final issue of one of our favorite books coming out. This has been a phenomenal book, a great addition to the Justice League Unlimited kind of world, as they're building all this cool stuff that goes along with the Watchtower, and this along with Challengers the Unknown, and what was the third one?
New Gods?
I mean, New Gods, yeah, which is...
Oh, New Gods, Challengers, and this.
Yeah. But this one, of course, like pretty much the entire thing has been set on the Watchtower. as Cyborg Superman has attempted to take it over along with some other another bad guy. But not a whole lot to say about this without giving away. Like, this is the ending. Uh, but the question, of course, will not stop Cyborg Superman alone, because this has all also been about the people that kind of support her. Even though she pretends to be a loner, there is people in her lives that really do support her. But it's a kind of also a funny thing that Cyborg Superman calls out. Uh, but it's a great finale. It's actually like really sticks the landing, I think. Um, it does say like the story is not necessarily to be continued, but it's like to be continued in the pages of Justice League Unlimited.
That's what Challengers said, yeah.
So it's like, it's not necessarily like there's going to be another question series. It's just like, she'll probably turn up in that.
Yeah.
Which I hope she does.
DC Comics, I know you're watching. Please extend this. Yeah. Please make this an ongoing, because I love it so much.
Especially because she's got the dog now that's like the Doom puppy or whatever, that's part Doomsday. Yeah, I feel like this is just getting to like, now we see what Renee Montoya is capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fun. Love this final issue and can't wait for more of the questions. So there is your A cover. We also have this. This is a Fornes variant as well. What is that puppy?
Mm-hmm.
And we have this Dennis Cowan variant with Vic Sage, who is in this issue.
Nice. All right, well, that's it for Andy. I've actually got 5 more. Our numbers were out of whack this week because Andy was out of town over the weekend, so I was able to read more than he was. But I'll go through these kind of in a lightning round. This one is Red Sonja versus the Army of Darkness, written by Tim Seeley. The art is by Jim Terry. And in this one, Ash is looking through a history book to check up on his girlfriend Sheila, since she was left 1,000 years in the past. And he learns through this history book that she was killed by this warrior woman with red hair. Well, he's not having that, so he uses the Necronomicon to go back in time, go back to that time to save Sheila from this red-haired woman. And he actually does end up confronting Red Sonja, but he realizes that he may have made a mistake when traveling back through time that will release untold horrors on the world, and that's kind of where this issue ends. Was when he makes that realization, and you know what bad things are going to come from that. So if you're a fan of either one of these properties, definitely check this one out. This is our A cover, and we have this Mark Spears variant. And we have this 1 in 10. I don't have the.
I think that's Mark Spears also.
Oh, is that also Mark Spears?
Yeah, it's just a different color.
Okay, 1 in 10 for $8.99 that we're selling. And then let me make some notes here. We also have we got some more One World Under Doom tie-ins. We have Thunderbolts Doomstrike number 3. And after Bucky found out that Doom is in possession of vibranium, he found that out last issue. He and Sharon Carter and Songbird head down to Wakanda to try to cut off Doom's access to the main source of vibranium. But the original Thunderbolts, or more or less the original Thunderbolts, are there waiting for them. And the entire issue is Bucky and Sharon Carter and Songbird going up against the original Thunderbolts. And I'm not going to spoil the outcome for you, but this is still probably my favorite tie-in to One World Under Doom, because I feel like it's this issue, more than anything else, it's this series where we see Doom doing the shady stuff that we don't see him doing in the main series. The main series makes it look like, oh, everything's great. But you see some shady stuff that Doom's doing in this series, and I like that quite a bit. So we have our A cover right here, and we have this Mark Bagley variant. Mark Bagley was your original artist on the original Thunderbolt series. And that's all for that one.
I need to go back and read the original Thunderbolt series, because I feel like so much references it now.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Next up, we have Doom's Division number 2, another One World Under Doom tie-in. And in this one, Tiger Division, along with Arrow, Karma, and Wave, they're continuing their search for Sunfire, because Sunfire is leading this anti-Doom rebellion. But they aren't having much luck finding him. They cannot find where Sunfire is. While they're doing that, Luna Snow has been tasked with writing pro-Doom songs, but she's very conflicted about that. While she's doing that, Lady Bright attends this anti-Doom rally to try to dig up some dirt on Doom. Um, this isn't my favorite of the tie-ins. Like I said, the Thunderbolts Doomstrike is, but I do like the ideas in this book because the Korean government has chosen to work with Doom, but Tiger Division, which is the Korean sponsored, the government sponsored super team in Korea, they're very conflicted about it. So they're like, well, we don't really want to go along with this, but our government is telling us to. This feels weird. So I like the idea that that's putting out there. So we have our A cover right there, and we have this Peach Momoko variant right there. And then the last of the tie-ins that, at least that we're going to talk about in this show, is Fantastic Four number 31. This is the next to last issue of this run.
Wow.
Before the next run starts. We're still written by Ryan North, art by Humberto Ramos. But in this one, the Fantastic Four realize that now that Ben has lost his powers, the rest of them are starting to lose their powers as well. And that's something that was established back in the 2017 Marvel 2-in-1, the 12-issue Marvel 2-in-1 series that Chip Zdarsky wrote.
That was really good series.
Yeah, that was established back then because, that was back when Reed and Sue weren't even like in the same dimension.
Yeah.
That's back when Marvel was doing that weird thing with Fantastic Four, not wanting to have Fantastic Four comics, but that's a whole other story. But back in that series, they realized that, hey, since Reed and Sue are gone, us, Ben and Johnny, our powers are starting to go on the fritz as well because we're not all four together. Well, that comes back into play in this. So they decide to try to recreate the accident that gave them their powers in the first place. They're like, let's go up into space and get bombarded by cosmic rays. However, let's not do it in our own universe because if we mess up, that could disrupt the entire timeline. Let's bounce around to other universes.
Mess them up.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking too. So they find other universes. They go back in time in other universes and say, hey, look, there's us in another universe. We're gonna like kind of go over here in space and try to get bombarded. And I won't tell you if they're successful or not. But I will say that this has a pretty like shocking ending. One that I don't know how they're gonna sort of come back from. So another great issue of Fantastic Four. Doesn't I thought this was going to be more about hey they meet like a gender bit like they meet like a male version of Sue Storm who has invisibility powers and a female Reed Richards who has stretchy. This doesn't happen. Like you don't see any of this. You don't see anybody in orange costumes. None of this happens. But it's still a really good issue. So there's our A cover for that one. And we have this Chris Giarrusso variant. What are we on here? The these? Well, that's that's Diablo, but that's Annihilus. That's the I don't know. That's this one's a little bit weird. They're kind of all over the place there. And the last one that I have to talk about is
that Diablo or Batrock?
Oh, that was Batrock. You're right.
Yeah, so it's A and B.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So the last one I have to talk about is Hellhunters number 5. This is the last issue of this miniseries. It's the big final battle between the Hellhunters and Calphael and the Unhallowed. I can't tell you too much about it without spoiling the entire end of the story, but it is a very action-packed issue, and there's a hint that this might not be the last time we see the Hellhunters, and I would be fine with that because I love this team together. World War II era stuff. I love stories that set back in World War II. These characters together are great, especially Ghost Rider 44. You got Wolverine, Bucky, Nick Fury, all those guys in there. Really cool. So if you've been getting this series, don't miss out on the last issue. That's our A cover, and we have this Aspinall variant as well. And that's it for me.
That is it. Other than, I just wanted to show off, here's my free comic book day book coming up on May 3rd. Don't miss out. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a free comic book day video where we'll be going over all of the free comic book day books available and telling you a little bit about them so you know a little bit better when you head to your store on free comic book day and just other fun stuff to expect from that. But thank you so much for sticking with us for this show.
Yep.
Some great books came out this week, so head on over to infinityflux.net. Right now, go ahead and order these books so you don't miss out, so they don't sell out from underneath you, and you will be very happy that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we got a video coming up tomorrow about Free Comic Book Day, and May 3rd, coming up this Saturday, is Free Comic Book Day. Kind of the biggest day of the year for comic book stores. So go out, support your local comic book store, or if you're from far away but you shop with us, we're going to have stuff on our website as well for Free Comic Book Day. There's going to be plenty of ways to participate in that. Yeah, anything else?
I'm tired.
I am very tired. After
It's been a long weekend. We had to read these books over the weekend, plus all of the Free Comic Book Day books too. So I've been reading a lot of comics over the last couple of days.
And I was at Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. So if you stop by there to say hey, I really appreciate it. I did talk to a few people who watch our videos, and that was really awesome. I thank you for that, and hopefully you had a great time. But until next time,
see ya.